They mocked humanity's terms, laughed in their chambers, ignored every warning Earth gave. So, when the humans stood up, turned their backs, and walked out of the Galactic Council, everyone thought they'd won. They didn't realize the mistake they made until it was far too late, until human fleets began to move, and the stars themselves trembled. Because when humans stop talking, they start preparing for war. Ambassador Varric of the Ilari Dominion watched with a smirk as the humans stood from their seats. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with activity, as delegates from dozens of species whispered, chuckled, or smirked just like he did. The human representative, a woman named Commander Helena Rourke, stood tall and unshaken. "We offered peace," she said clearly, her voice carrying across the chamber. "We offered fair terms. We offered protection for every race involved in this treaty. And you laughed at us." Again, no one spoke. They didn't have to. The body language said it all. Helena continued, her face a mask of disappointment and steel. "Consider this our formal withdrawal from these talks. Effective immediately." Then she turned and walked away, her fellow human diplomats rising in unison and following her out of the shining amphitheater. The enormous golden doors sealed behind them with a low thud. The silence in the room lingered for a moment before someone scoffed. "They never had leverage anyway," Varric said aloud, earning a round of quiet chuckles. But not everyone laughed. High Archon Selex of the Drawn Tie shifted in his seat, his yellow eyes narrowing. "You underestimate them." Again, Varric snorted. "Let them sulk. Humans are dramatic. They'll be back." Selex didn't respond. He simply stared at the door and felt a chill run through his scales. Back on the human delegation ship Vigilance, Commander Rourke stared out of the viewport at the Council's glimmering station orbiting a gas giant. Behind her, a dozen of Earth's finest diplomats and military advisors stood in silence. She turned slowly. "Prepare contingency code Omega-5, she said. A young officer blinked. "Ma'am, that's..." "Yes, do it." Within hours, the human fleet began repositioning across the sector. Because Earth hadn't come to the Council begging. They'd come offering a chance. One last chance. And now it was gone. 6 days later, a report landed on Varric's desk. He skimmed it with disinterest at first, until he saw the words "human trade route sealed" and "fleet redeployments detected in the Trian expanse." His smirk faded. 3 days after that, Ilari shipping convoys vanished without a trace. Pirate attacks, they called it. But the precision was too clean, too surgical. A week later, the Vari Republic, longtime allies of humanity, activated their defense pact with Earth. They cut diplomatic channels with the Council and rerouted all military logistics through human-secured space. Then the Trelzari Empire's ambassador was found missing. Not dead, just missing. Every race that had mocked humanity started whispering now. Meetings grew tense. The laughter stopped, and the real fear began. Inside a secure council chamber, Selex paced in front of the gathered members. "You don't understand what you've done," he growled. "They're just humans," someone cried. "No, they were the balance," Selex snapped. "They were the only species that fought the Kravex to a standstill. They were the only ones who sent medical aid to both allies and enemies during the Sorn Plague. And they were the only ones who offered us peace when we were too arrogant to see we needed it. They've made no demands," another delegate said nervously. "No threats. No broadcasts." "Exactly," Selex said, pausing. "And you should be terrified by that." Meanwhile, aboard the human dreadnought Vindicator, Commander Rourke stood before a massive tactical display. Dozens of red flags blinked across the galactic map. "Begin silent operations. I want asset control of 3 more Council worlds within 2 weeks. No engagements. No visible presence. Just pressure." "Yes, Commander." She turned to her second-in-command. "What's the Council saying?" "Confused. Splintered. Afraid. They didn't expect this. They thought we'd come crawling back." Rourke nodded. "We never crawl. We adapt." On the Council station, panic began to spread. The Grillex lost an entire fleet in an accident, while near a former human patrol route. The Brinnian banks reported massive withdrawals. Something, was collapsing financial sectors from the shadows. Then came the message. Not a broadcast, not a threat, just a single image. The Earth flag planted on the surface of Soria Prime, an unclaimed, contested world, now fully terraformed with human colonies. The image carried no words. It didn't need to. The next emergency council meeting was chaos. Delegates yelled over one another. Accusations flew. Selleck stood, and for the first time in weeks, the room went quiet. They warned us. They offered peace. What we mistook for weakness was restraint. Someone shouted, "What do we do now?" Selleck looked toward the stars. "You pray they still want to talk." On Earth, Commander Rourke stepped into the war room where the Terran president awaited her. "Status?" the president asked. "Stage 2 complete. The council is fractured. They're panicking. Half of them are reaching out quietly. Others will follow." The president nodded. "When do we offer peace?" Rourke paused. "When they stop seeing us as pawns and start seeing us as kings." And so, the Galactic Council, once proud, once untouchable, was forced to watch as the humans they'd mocked redefined power. Because Earth had never truly left the table. They had just started building a new one. And this time, everyone would be asking for a seat.